Hello again, everyone. The Belgian actor Jean-Claude Van Damme was born on October 18, 1960, in the small neighborhood of Berksem-Saint-Agathe. He was born Jean-Claude Camille Francois Van Varenberg. Eugene, his dad, was a gardener and an accountant. Speaking Dutch, his mother Eliana is from Flanders, and his father speaks French. Their home spoke two languages, which helped Jean-Claude when he became famous around the world. Growing up, he and his sister Veronique lived in a quiet, working-class area. His parents raised him to be disciplined and work hard from the start. Because Jean-Claude was skinny and shy, his father decided that the boy should learn martial arts. When he was young, Jean-Claude had a lot of trouble in school. He had a small, weak body and wore thick glasses. Kids picked on him all the time and called him brains in a mean way. Sports weren't his thing. He liked reading comic books and doing quiet things. He said it was hard to grow up later. He was weak and not strong at all. That's when his dad knew something had to change. Jean-Claude began working out with weights when he was 11 years old. He wanted to change his body so that no one could hurt him. His life would never be the same after that choice. He went to the gym to relax. He trained every day because he didn't want to ever feel weak again. At age 12, his dad signed him up for karate lessons at the Excel Center National de Karate. The boss was named Claude Getz and was a tough guy. From 1972 to 1976, Jean-Claude worked out continuously. The lessons were really hard. During the fight, his nose got broken more than once, but he kept going. He learned to be disciplined, how to kick hard, and how to be very flexible. By the time he was 16, in 1976, he had qualified for the Belgian national karate team. This was a big accomplishment for a boy who had been picked on for being weak in the past. At about the same time, an odd thing happened. Jean-Claude began taking dance lessons in secret. From age 16 to 21, he did ballet 5 days a week in addition to karate. Having the knowledge of this would help him with his balance, ease, and body control. He later said that ballet was even harder to learn for than martial arts. He refused to tell his karate buddies because he believed they would find it funny. The truth was that dancing helped him look great with his kicks. He was able to do the famous splits that everyone talked about afterward. In 1975, when Jean-Claude was 15, he had his first real karate fight. In semi-contact fights between 1976 and 1980, he won 44 and lost only 4. He got hit hard with a roundhouse kick in one of his first fights in Brussels. Even though Jean-Claude almost lost, he quickly knocked the other guy out. His toughness was clear at that point. He was a part of the Belgian karate team that won a big European event in Brussels in December 1979. Later, on March 8, 1980, he had his biggest win yet. His previous 2 losses to Patrick Tuggels made him fight him. Even though he broke his hand, Jean-Claude kept fighting. So hard did he kick Tuggels in the nose that the man couldn't go on. Jean-Claude won by sending the opponent to the ground. Because of surgery on his hand, he couldn't fight for months. But that match showed what a champion's heart was made of. Jean-Claude won the European Professional Karate Association's middleweight title in 1979. He was only 19 years old at the time. 18 of his fights were knockouts, and only 1 was a loss. Some people said that the records might have been skewed by including fights with weaker opponents, but most people agreed that he was a strong and skilled fighter. He started the California gym in Brussels when he was 20 years old. It was next to a graveyard. His gym was supposed to make him money and give him a place to work out, but it only made a little bit of money. He did a lot of different jobs to make money. He took care of carpets, brought pizzas, and modeled for muscle magazines. Too lazy to pay rent, he often slept in the gym. He sometimes stole food and ate fast food leftovers. The whole thing lasted almost 2 years. It was all he could do to save money. Want to go to America so badly. At age 21, he finally got to Los Angeles in 1982. Few say he came with more than $50. Some say the amount was $2,000 or even $5,000. No matter what the number was, he didn't know any English, hadn't done acting before, and had no one to help him. He traveled around in his car and lived near Venice Beach. He cleaned homes, waited tables, and delivered pizzas, among other odd jobs. He took showers in public bathrooms. He saw Chuck Norris while driving a car and later got him a job doing stunts. In the 1984 movie Breakin', he had his first part. He was in the background for a second and did a silly dance. Not even credit was given. He was a bouncer at a bar owned by Chuck Norris around this time. He didn't have any money and would sometimes eat from trash cans to stay alive. Although, he kept training every day and going to auditions. He finally sparred with Chuck Norris, which made him more well-known. He played a small bad guy in No Retreat, No Surrender in 1986. It only cost him $250 to play a mean Russian brawler. He really hit his co-stars in the scenes, and the director told him over and over to stop. But Van Damme took every fight scene very seriously and with a lot of emotion. He did something braver than ever that same year. He worked at a diner and saw Menahem Golan, a producer, eating there. Van Damme hit a beautiful roundhouse kick with a soup bowl in his hand. Golan thought he was so good that he asked him to come in for an interview. Van Damme was at Cannon Films all day and had to wait. By the time Golan called him in, Jean-Claude had already taken off his shirt and was kicking the producer in the head. Goliath was stunned. Throwing him a copy, he said, next week in Hong Kong. Playing with that plot was Bloodsport. Somewhere between 1.5 and 2.3 million won was all that was spent on making the movie. There was no safety gear on Van Damme when he did his stunts. He did splits on kitchen counters and jumped and kicked himself all the way through. Even though the fights were risky, Van Damme didn't care. The film was late and almost went to video right away. But he was able to persuade Golan to let him change the fight scenes. For weeks, he worked nonstop. No one expected Bloodsport to make $50 million around the world when it finally came out in 1988. Nothing went perfectly, though. In 1987, he had a terrible Predator interview. He paid $20,000 to make the alien outfit. It hurt him. It was too tight for him, and he passed out twice. He was told by the manager that he would be fired if it happened again. Van Damme broke the rules. He took off the expensive hat and broke it. They yelled at him and threw him off the set. A 7-foot-tall actor named Kevin Peter Hall took his place. Jean-Claude Van Damme became famous all over the world with Kickboxer on TV in 1989. Just $2.7 million was spent to make it, but it made $50 million when it came out on September 8th. It opened on 973 screens and made $4.1 million in its first weekend, making it the third most successful movie in the US. The movie was filmed in Thailand, where Van Damme trained with real Muay Thai fighters. The world first saw Thai karate in this Hollywood movie. When Van Damme dances drunk in a Bangkok bar is the most memorable part. As the music plays, he moves around with his shirt open and looks crazy. Suddenly, he gets into a fierce fight. One of the most talked about parts of his work was that strange mix of funny and violent. The fight made him a real action star and Muay Thai well-known. Additionally, Cyborg came out that year. Within 23 days, it was shot for less than $500,000. Cannon Films lost money on the He-Man and Spider-Man movies that were canceled, so director Albert Pagen wrote a new story in just one weekend to use the outfits and sets that were left over. Some of the characters' names, like Gibson Rickenbacker and Marshall Strat, came from guitars. Something bad happened while they were shooting. Van Damme used a prop knife and hit actor Jackson Rock Pinkney in the eye by mistake. The studio had to pay $485,000 in court costs because of the accident. Unfortunately, the movie got mixed reviews and made over $10 million. It also started a new cyberpunk series. In 1990, Lionheart depicted Van Damme in a more emotional part. In the role, he played Lion Gaultier, a soldier who betrays the French Foreign Legion and fights illegally in Los Angeles to help the family of his dead brother. There were no rules, so the fights were rough and horrible. During shooting, Van Damme got hurt several times, including when his shoulder came out of place. Some countries called the movie AWOL, while others called it Wrong Bet. It came out for the first time in France on August 1, 1990, and in the United States on January 11, 1991. His acting skills were shown in this movie, not just his fighting ones. Late that same year, he played a police officer who goes undercover in a jail and death warrant. With only $6 million to spend, it made $46 million. Adding Van Damme's famous spinning kicks to fight scenes kept changing them, which slowed down production. Like most cops, he didn't want to fight. One interesting fact is that the prison scenes were shot in the Los Angeles basement of the Ambassador Hotel, while Pretty Woman was being filmed upstairs at the same time. He even helped make the fights look better by editing the videos after they were shot. The last battle with Sandman, a creepy killer, was filmed in just one day in a huge power plant in Los Angeles. Dual Impact, which came out in 1991, had him play twin brothers. It came out on July 31st and lasted 110 minutes. Van Damme had to play two different roles, a mild-mannered, likable brother and a rough, angry brother. They used split-screen tricks and real twin actors to help the scenes look more real. Nothing could be done with CGI back then. Everything had to be done with timing the camera and visual effects. People first saw that he could do more than just fight in that movie. He could really play complicated parts. Within 1992, Van Damme's Universal Soldier was a huge success. On a budget of $23 million, it made $102 million around the world. What was going on behind the scenes, though, was heating up. His wife, bodybuilder Gladys Portugues, had to be on set with him, and he wouldn't come out without a fancy trailer. She had to be flown to each filming site, which took a very long time. Dolph Lundgren, who worked with him, said that Van Damme had broken down and was full of himself. In 1992 at Cannes, their feud reached a peak, and they almost got into a fight on stage. People have different opinions about whether it happened or not. This movie made Van Damme a real A-list star, no matter what. He worked on the 1993 movie Hard Target with the famous Hong Kong director John Woo. The movie was filmed in the Louisiana swamps. Van Damme insisted on doing his own moves, and he almost broke his leg during a scene with a horse kick. Because Universal was worried about Woo's direction, they sent Sam Raimi to watch over the production. The movie took 65 days to finish, and Woo later said that he was amazed at how ready Van Damme was to do dangerous scenes. Time Cop, which came out in 1994 and made $101.6 million on a $28 million budget, was Van Damme's biggest hit ever. Played a police officer who goes back in time. He made sure there were extra scenes in the plot where he could show off his splits. In the cooking scene, he jumps into a split to avoid getting electrocuted. Not only that, but he pushed for scenes that showed off his body, especially his butt. It cost him $3 million to play the part. Some critics said there were holes in the story, but fans loved the action and going back in time. But when he shot Street Fighter later that year, things went crazy. He used cocaine worth $10,000 every week. Van Damme would show up high and then leave for hours, according to director Steven D'Souza. Someone had to be hired to keep an eye on him. After that, he slept with Kylie Minogue while he was shooting in Thailand. He told his wife Darcy Lapper in 2012 that she was pregnant, but she didn't know until then. Aside from that, he wanted private planes and hotels. He still put on a good show despite all of this. He got paid $5 million for sudden death in 1995, which was the most he had ever made. During the Stanley Cup playoffs, he played a fire marshal and saved people. Shooting took place at Pittsburgh's Real Civic Arena with NHL players like Luc Robitaille. One scene even took place in the kitchen of the building and involved a fight with Iceberg, the team bear. People laughed at Van Damme's rope trick from the roof of the arena because it looked so ridiculous. The movie made $64 million around the world, but only $20.4 million in the US where it was released. When he first started filming, in 1996, he made The Quest, a movie set in Tibet in 1925. For a golden dragon statue, real boxers from 16 countries competed, but Van Damme still used $10,000 a week and often called in sick. Someone from the studio was meant to keep him in line, but they made things worse. He came back late from his trip to Hong Kong while they were shooting, and didn't work for days. Even though there were delays and other issues, the $35 million movie did well around the world. Similarly, in 1990 SIX's Maximum Risk, he played again twin brothers. One gets killed by the Russian mob, and the other wants to get back at them. Real and dangerous car chases happened. Tragically, one crash hurt a fake double very badly. They said that most of the risky things weren't even Van Damme, even though he insisted on being very realistic. Many people saw the fight in the movie where he was only wearing a towel. It cost $15 million to make, but the acts used up most of that. He was placed with Dennis Rodman on Double Team in 1997, but Van Damme's behavior was becoming hard to predict. He was going from being happy and manic to sad all in the same day because he didn't know he had bipolar illness. In order to keep things interesting, director Tsui Hark had to change scenes over and over again. Rodman was the more steady one, even though he had never been acting before. It was more important to finish the $30 million movie than to work out its story. In 1998's Knock Off, he played a fashion designer who got caught up in a plan about jeans that blew up. The following year, Van Damme was finally told he had bipolar illness. He sang crazy Hong Kong songs and did weird things on set during his show. He was trying to get better while still making movies. The director had to work around his mood swings, which often stopped all work. The crazy plot about fashion terrorism in the movie was based on real events in Van Damme's life. The movie Legionnaire came out in 1998 too, built around Van Damme's wish to join the French Foreign Legion. But in February, he was crushed when he was knocked out in a Manhattan strip club. He was rude to Chuck Zito in the bathroom. Zito used to be a Hell's Angel and a boxer. After hearing what Van Damme said, Zito went over to his table and gave him a hard punch, which sent Van Damme flying across the floor. As people watched, the beating went on. Unfortunately, Legionnaire did not do well at the box office, which made the situation even worse. When Jean-Claude Van Damme got a call in 1995, it could have changed his life. He was being offered $36 million by Universal Pictures for a series. $12 million each movie. The movie Time Cop had just made more than $100 million around the world. Van Damme refused to sign because he wanted $20 million per movie. The same as Jim Carrey. Saying that, everything I did made money. They didn't make a counteroffer, though. Someone laughed. The call ended with laughter. That one moment put an end to his time as an A-list star. In 1990, only 5 years before, he was getting $75,000 for Death Warrant. By 1994, Street Fighter was making him $8 million a year. A $20 million bet got him banned right away. Behind the scenes on the Street Fighter set that same year, things were already going badly. Van Damme was addicted to cocaine and used about 10 grams of it every day. The weekly cost was around $10,000, or more than $500,000 a year. He'd disappear from the set and miss whole days of filming because he needed his fix. The studio had to give him a handler, but that person made things worse by drinking with him and bringing champagne to the set. He was having hallucinations when Double Team was being filmed in 1996. Despite going to rehab, he left after only 7 days. He could not do anything without drugs. Some people in Hollywood started calling him Jean-Claude Van Desperate. In 1998, everything went wrong and broke. After he tried to kill himself, doctors told him he had rapid cycling bipolar illness. For years, he had been going from crazy highs to sad lows, and now it made sense. During his manic moments, he was very creative but also very angry. He'd lash out, demand huge pay, and use cocaine to calm down. Gladys Portugues, his wife, had to deal with his mood swings all the time. The attempt on his life finally made him decide to get help. He started taking mood stabilizers and then talked about it on Oprah in 2007. Unfortunately, his career was already in bad shape. Back in 1994, he was in another scandal while shooting Street Fighter in Thailand. He was married to Darcy LaPierre at the time, but Kylie Minogue became his mistress. After almost 20 years, he admitted it in an interview with The Guardian and called it Sweet Kiss. Lovely making love. He said it was strange that she hadn't had an affair. She's breathtakingly lovely. It got worse with the timetable. Either he cheated on LaPierre while they were engaged or right after they got married. The affair was one of the reasons they split up in 1999. During later talks, Van Damme often left the room instead of answering questions about it. That night broke his image as an action hero for good. He called Chuck Zito, the head of the Hells Angels, names at the Scores strip club in Manhattan on February 5, 1998. In the bathroom, Van Damme was with Mickey Rourke and said that Zito had no heart. Someone told Zito. He approached Van Damme's table and asked, "Did you really say that?" "No problem, Van Damme." Zito did not wait for a moment. He destroyed him with a right-left punch. Van Damme tipped over in his chair and fell to the ground. Zito didn't stop hitting until security took him away. While Van Damme was out cold, Zito yelled, "This is the street, and I own the street." The story made headlines in newspapers in Hollywood, and it hurt Van Damme's image as a tough guy. Desert Heat promptly went to video in 1999. According to IMDb, it got 5.2 out of 10, thanks to only 11,000 votes. It was the last signal. Van Damme wasn't familiar to moviegoers anymore. From now on, he would only act in movies. Because of cocaine, legal problems, mistakes, and endless reshoots, he was no longer liked in Hollywood. It was a huge failure when Universal Soldier: The Return came out that same year. It cost $45 million to make the movie, but it only made $10.7 million around the world. Sales in other countries only brought in $270,000. It only made $2,800 at each show on its first weekend. The original Dicey-Off made $95 million, but the remake only made 11% of that. There were 5,389 movies that made more money than this one. A new thing was tried by him in 2008. JCVD was truthful and aware of himself. While going through a real custody case and money problems, he played a broken version of himself who got caught in a fake robbery. He breaks down crying and tells everything in an 8-minute speech. Difficult movies, drugs, and broken homes. They really liked it. People didn't. It was awkward for some to see their action hero cry. Even though it was one of his best shows, it didn't do well. He got a chance to get back into the big leagues with The Expendables 2 in 2012. Gene Villain was the bad guy he played. Unfortunately, Vin Diesel stopped him from joining Fast and Furious. Diesel told Van Damme in 2023, "No, I don't want him." Even though he did a great job in Expendables 2, they killed off his character. With a twin brother named Claude Villain, Stallone hinted at a comeback, but it never happened. Van Damme later said that Hollywood no longer had room for guys like him, like a manual gear in a world of Teslas. Then the worst time came in April 2025. He was charged by authorities in Romania with being involved in a trafficking scandal. In 2015, at an event in Cannes, Van Damme is said to have taken 5 women who had been stolen from a Romanian crime boss named Mirel Bolia. At a hotel party, witnesses said the women were taken from a fashion TV group and given to Van Damme. A lawyer said it was clear that the women were being used. The claims made by Van Damme's lawyer were seen as ridiculous, but the investigation was still going on and there was a lot of damage. But he didn't go away. He supplied the voice of Master Croc in Kung Fu Panda 2 in 2011. His voice was used for Jean-Claude in Minions in 2022. Growing of Gru. He started doing voice parts that didn't require him to be as physically intense as he used to be. He was able to do these jobs because he was stable enough thanks to medicine and daily workouts. He found comfort in martial arts. In order to deal with his bipolar illness, he worked out every day and even posted fitness tips on YouTube. In April 2020, he started a show called Train with Van Damme that taught people how to work out at home without any tools. Only things for the house. In 2016, he played himself in the Amazon show Jean-Claude Van Johnson. It was him playing a failed actor who was also a spy. His addictions, ego, and damaged image were made fun of on the show. Fans saw a side of Van Damme who could laugh at his own reputation in the 6 episodes that were made. In Darkness of Man, 2024, he came back again. He played an ex-Interpol agent who was trying to keep a child safe from gangs. He acted with his real-life son, who gave the part more emotional depth. The movie came out on Netflix in December after its screening in May. Van Damme was older and quieter in the video, but he was still trying to make things right. Not a single sign of return was seen. When he really committed to treatment in 1998, he allegedly beat his addiction.